This is episode R, Relying on Others. This is A is for Adversity, a podcast about navigating the obstacles in life. Thanks for joining us this season as we talk about how a community can help. I'm Jen.
And I'm Rachel. We're here to be a part of your community this year as we learn together.
Hey, before we get started, I wanted to remind you about a couple events coming up. The first one is on September 30th from 1 to 2 p.m., and this will be a free class about how to start a podcast. This will take place in the Daybreak Library, and if you've ever thought of starting a podcast, this class is for you. And even if you have no intention of starting a podcast, I encourage you to come anyway. I believe that it will be valuable in any aspect of life if you have the thought to apply it differently. The other event is for my Sunshine Community members or those in the public who are interested in learning more about the Sunshine Community or just want a night of self-care. It is going to be in South Jordan again, and one of my friends, Diana Lund, is a skincare specialist focusing on facial wellness, and she's going to be teaching us how a simple 5-minute routine can impact not only our day, but our life. If you want more information about this, find me at A is for Adversity on Instagram, or A is for Adversity on Facebook, or email me at jenbank16@gmail.com. Okay, now on to today's topic. Ironically, I had someone else lined up for this interview, but with relying on others, you can't always count on things to work out the way you envision, and you're at the mercy of others' choices and circumstances and situations. So, you get me today, and we'll be back to some fabulous guests next week. I guess I could have called this episode Not Relying on Others, because for the main portion, I'll talk about ourself and meeting our own needs and getting things done that way. But then at the end of the episode, I will talk about when it is necessary to rely on others. If you've listened to even one episode of mine, you know that I am a huge quote collector. I love finding inspirational thoughts and wisdom that I can apply to my own life and use as motivation to accomplish the next thing. It's been interesting to look back on the quotes that I've collected over the years and see how they're not as impactful as they used to be, or some of them don't resonate the same way. And this is because we're always telling ourselves a story, and it depends on what's going on for us that the quote will impact us or not. I will go through a few that I have come across again as I've been looking through them and how my perspective has changed. One of them says, "The true test of character is not how much we know how to do, but how we behave when we don't know what to do." And the reason I question this one now is is that really the true test of character? And there are other ways to measure what's going on for us. And so that's the reason that one stuck out. Another one says, "It's the friends that you can call up at 4 a.m. that matter." And this is funny to me because that is not the indication of a true friend. I have plenty of friends that are not morning people and probably wouldn't love it if I called them at 4 a.m. But there are also some who would do whatever I needed at a heartbeat at 4 a.m. It doesn't really reflect their kind of friendship, though, I think. A couple more. This one says, "If we do not plant knowledge when young, it will give us no shade when we are old." And I can see how that would be true, but there's also infinite possibilities of what you can learn at any given time. There's other quotes that contradict this and say that you can teach an old dog new tricks. If you heard this quote when you were older, maybe it would prevent you from taking a class you'd always wanted to take, or learning a musical instrument, or who knows what else. I know Julia Child learned how to cook when she was older in life, and look at her and what she did with her life. So all is not lost if you didn't plant that knowledge when you were young. And the last one I'll share for this section is, "Even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there." No, I think if you're on the right track, you're doing pretty good. And again, only you yourself can know what that right track is, and hopefully you're in tune and that you'll pivot when you're supposed to, and you'll just keep going. If you have any quotes that you're questioning or any quotes in general, inspirational or otherwise, please send them to me. I'm always looking for new quotes, and I love to be reminded of great ones as well. Speaking of quotes that contradict themselves or each other, I found some variations of a quote that we've heard a lot that I felt like I'd share. I've done this before too with When Life Gives You Lemons. The grass is greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. The grass is not always greener on the other side. If the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, you can bet the water bill is higher. So again, quotes are just thoughts that are offered to you. The main thing to ask yourself is, do they serve you? Recently, I've been questioning the thought, there's not enough time in a day. It's not very useful to think that. In fact, it's kind of discouraging. And we all get 24 hours in a day. A lot of those are sleeping hours. So what can I do with the waking hours? Well, a more powerful thought is, I have time for the things that matter most. As you think about yourself, what matters to you? This question is very unique and personal, and only you can answer it for yourself. I've really been trying to nail down my personal values, and I figured out my priorities, but values are different. It's what I truly believe at my core fills me up and brings me life and gives me purpose. And so the first one won't be a surprise to you, and it's connection. And beyond that, I've tried to figure out 2 to 3 more that I can think of that just really resonate with me. The next one I've come to is some word along the lines of determination, tenacity, ambitiousness, something along those lines. Just really persevering, sticking to something until I reach a goal. That is one of my values. I'm a word nerd, so picking the perfect word that resounds what I'm trying to explain really matters to me. So I am trying to nail it down. Again, with those values, just remember that your values are different than other people's values. And sometimes when our values clash with another person is when arguments can happen, or tension, or even anger. This happens with kids because they value play and fun, and you value maybe hard work and getting things done. And things you can say to yourself in that moment is, I've got this, or I operate differently, or they just value something different. Having a conversation about values can be so insightful for the way we operate with others. Okay, now we're going to move on to the part about relying on others when it's necessary. Something I've come to learn about myself is that I want a lot of things, and I'm trying to learn how to want something but not need it. This is true in the case of my family. I have 3 boys, and I have always wanted a girl so strongly. And recently I've been able to ease up on that wanting by not needing it, in the fact that I've learned about myself that I need to gain a deeper appreciation for men. And here I was, sent these 3 little boys to love and to raise, and that really changed things for me. Of course, I'd heard things like that, but it's not really true until you know it for yourself. And with my family, that's relying on someone else for a girl or something that I can't control. So getting to a healthier place of wanting it but not needing it allows it not to be so polarized. As I've stated in previous episodes, I'm a firm believer in meeting my own needs. I've kind of had to swing the pendulum the other way a little bit and at least offer people the opportunity to help me. And then if they can't, then I'll meet my own needs. But I was almost taking on too much and not even asking for help. So again, there are extremes. It can be polarized, but I think the takeaway is do what needs to happen, and then anything else is just icing on the cake. If you do get help, great, but you're not relying on that. so tightly that if it doesn't happen, you're crushed. And then the last thing I'll say about this too is don't hold others to the expectations you hold for yourself. I hold myself to a very high standard, maybe too high at times, and it's tempting to put that on others. But again, they have different values. They operate differently. So however people are, let them be them, you be you, and coexist together. Thank you for joining me this week. And remember, if you're a busy woman looking to maintain your identity, join me in the Sunshine Community. You can find more information at aisforadversity.com/boost, and I'd love to have you join us.